If you are an offensive football coach, you have probably heard the saying, one play, many ways, and how it is widely regarded as one of the best practices when it comes to building an offensive system. In this video, we're going to take a look at two NFL examples from the Shanahan-McVay tree and how they get to the same play multiple ways within a single game plan, and then get on the whiteboard and take some applications. Let's dive in. Now, starting with the Vikings, they look to be in a formation similar to South Close, but it's technically going to be deuce click tight. So they're going to be in 12 personnel. Click is going to have the Z on the ball and the Y off the ball. That's Hockenson as the off-ball receiver over there. We've got the X, Justin Jefferson, here in a 5-yard split, and then an attached tight end, which is where the deuce comes in. So they're going to run a high cross concept, and it's going to be difficult to tell here from the TV copy. And we're going to see here on this view of the replay, going to see this concept play out a lot better. Now, I call this concept hiccup because it's high cross with a corner post. He's going to run a corner post, check releasing, chipping, and he's going to run the flat. We're going to get a switch release backside. So we're going to switch release and he's going to have the dig. He kind of sits down and he's going to be running the high cross. The back is going to chip and check out of the backfield into the backside flat. And you can see we've really got that air raid classic 5 bubble idea here. We've got a play side short route, a play side deep route, got a route coming over the middle, and a high-low backside for the end of the progression. Nothing too fancy. We've got Jefferson clearing out the way. They're in a 12 personnel set with Hockenson split out, which he is more than capable of doing, catching that high cross over the middle. Similar presentation later in the game. We've got an attached tight end. We're in 11 personnel, so this is Hockenson. He's not the receiver in the stack. And then this is going to be our Z. And to the twin side, it is true twins. It is not a weak side stack here. Going to get a very similar concept here. We're not exactly getting the backside dig or post curl that we did the first time. He's running more of a TP over the ball route. But the idea here, we can run one play many ways. We're motioning to the formation. So you can see after the motion right here, by the time this motion is over, we are essentially in the same formation that we were in earlier. We've got an attached tight end. We've got a 5-yard split receiver outside of him. And then we've essentially motioned to that weak side stack that the formation started out in earlier. So way number one that we can get to one play many ways is we can motion to a similar formation or a similar presentation as we did in the original play. We can take a look here from the end zone and we can better see the concept play out as a whole. So from our Z, like I said, hiccup, we're still going to get a high cross with a corner post. You can see him break it. The play side tight end, which is Hockenson here, is still going to be chipping and releasing to the flat. Now this is where it also gets a little bit different on the backside. The motion man who's coming in earlier in the stack, whenever we just started out in the stack, the first play we looked at, he was running the cross and this was the backside dig. Now this is going to be a little bit different in that he is going to run, like we said, about a 10-yard, I call it a TP route. You're running 10 yards over the ball, and then Justin Jefferson is going to be the one running the high cross. We can see motioning to it, the stack still getting a switch release. Watch everybody underneath take this TP route, and Justin Jefferson's just going to get lost between the second and third level. Great pocket movement by Sam Darnold, and we're hitting that for an explosive play. Next up, let's take a look at the Packers, and something that I have really loved that they have been doing is finding a way this entire season. We're going to have some version of a strong side run to a closed surface. A lot of people call that nub, just a tight end with no receivers outside of it. Got twins backside, a regular extension there. And then using Jaden Reed as the pitch man in some sort of way. He could start out in 2x2 or go in orbit or jet motion. They've had him in split backs, in the pistol, just keeping him in the backfield, but some different way to get him behind these twin receivers for an RPO or a zone read option, while still having the ability for strong side zone runs to the closed surface. So this is a very run-heavy presentation for the Packers. The way they started here is that they started in a 3x1 or technically a 1x3 trips nub idea, and now they're going to take Jayden Reed and motion him. This would be fax orbit, so F across and then orbit behind, as opposed to just regular orbit, which would go this way. And the way that they've operated their offense for most of the season, that's going to be the version of a bubble or zone read bubble RPO. And so this is a really heavy run tendency, play action look, and they're going to get to Blazer Field, and we'll see this from a better angle as well. So Blazer Field is, in my opinion, really the Shanahan tree version of double post. We're going to have a field post from the slot receiver, a blazer from the outside receiver. They have landmarks for this. I like to teach the blazer as a go post option based on what the safety does. Reed, as he normally does from this kind of presentation, he's going to run a bubble, just this time it's not the bubble for an RPO, it's just the bubble for flat control. And then we're going to get Tucker Kraft coming from the backside on the high cross. So you can really see this idea of traditional quarters beater double post, and it's going to go for an explosive play. So you can see the field post and the blazer clearing out the secondary for that side and the high cross coming underneath it. And there's no DBs there. Linebackers got to carry it, and that's a difficult ask for a linebacker. Now, this is much later in the game. We're in the fourth quarter. Jordan Love has come out of the game 27-0. No need to risk him being hurt. And we're going to run the exact same concept, one play, a different way. Now, with the Vikings, we saw that other way being through motion. And as you might be able to tell here, one of the other ways that we can run the same play a different way is with a different formation. So we're still going to get Blazer Field. This time, Jayden Reed is going to be running the field post, Christian Watson running the blazer, clearing out the secondary. Our flat control is going to be the tight end. He's going to chip and release to the flat, and then the single receiver backside is going to run the high cross. So exact same concept, Blazer Field, their version of double post. Instead of going motion to get to the same concept, one play, many ways, we're going to do it with a formation. You can see this time we're going to hit the field post, but we can tell from the angle that we're about to get that this is still the same concept. So they're going to focus on Jayden Reed here, but we can see the different elements of the play play out throughout different parts of the replay. So you got Wicks here on the weak side. He's going to run the blazer. You can see him go. There's Reed running the post, and right underneath him, here comes our single side receiver on the high cross. Safety, Tyrann Mathieu, the safety, is taking the high cross, leaving the field post wide open on a nice runaway. If you are still tracking athlete development by hand or not at all, the automatic weight training calculator and player information system is for you. Simply enter the data during max week and all the calculations will happen automatically, doing everything from comparing previous max attempts to calculating updated percentages for percentage-based weight training. As a bonus, it includes a prospect sheet that can be shared with recruiters so they always have the most up-to-date data on your players. With options for Excel or Google Sheets, this spreadsheet is for anyone who wants to save time calculating percentages in the weight room. For a full demonstration, click the link in the description below. So thinking about applying these ideas, one play, many ways, using different motions, using different formations to get to the same concept. We're going to start here in trips right and look at one of my favorite quick game concepts, stick bow. So we're going to run Y stick X bow. Y stick tells us that the outside receiver to the Y side is running a blazer. That go post option, if the middle of the field is open, take it. If not, run away from the safety. The number 2 receiver is running an arrow, attack the outside hip of the apex defender. And then the number 3 receiver, if he's in the core, is going to run a flat route. The idea here is that this blazer should really account for the corner and the safety, and then the outside linebacker can't play both of these routes. If for some reason the blazer doesn't account for both DBs, whether the corner squats in cover 2 or the safety nails down on the flat, then that's when we can throw the home run shot. So that's stick number 1 on the blazer, number 2 on the arrow, and then number 3, if he's in the core, is running a flat. We'll see another formation and talk about what an extended receiver will do. X bow is going to give us a bow concept on the backside. That's a basic. And then the inside receiver on the backside is going to run a hook route. Number 2 receiver on the backside here is the running back. So he's going to get out. This is a 5-man protection, quick game. And this will be alerted if we see some cover 2 pre-snap, because the weak side hook defender here would not be able to play both of those routes. So to run these concepts, we need a 3 receiver side and a 2 receiver side. Here we got that way out of trips. Let's take a look from another formation. So now we're in trips nub, what a lot of people call it. I would call this Crocs left, and we're going to run X stick Y bow. So if you're on the X's side, number 1 receiver has a blazer route. Number 2 receiver has the arrow, and then from an extended receiver position, important to note, this is not a bunch. This is a true 3 extended wide receiver side. And from an extended number 3 position, we're going to run a bubble here. Bubble is frequent in the run game as well for RPOs and different reads such as that. And what we see a lot of here is apex defenders or even safeties really being aggressive to go get the bubble. And that's what we want, so we can ideally hit either the home run shot or the arrow anyway. But same play, outside receiver has the blazer, number 2 receiver has the arrow, number 3 has flat control. Y bow, same idea. Since he's in the core, he's going to burst out before running his basic. We still have our weak side number 2 as the running back, so he would be running the hook route still. Same play, different way, using a different formation. Now those were both different variations of a 3x1 formation, but we can still do it out of 2x2 even without motioning. So here we can go X stick, Y bow. X stick, the X is the outside receiver, so he would run the blazer. The F is the number 2 receiver, he would be running the arrow. Now the halfback is the number 3 receiver on the X's side, so he would be running the flat. Y bow, the outside receiver, has the basic. The inside receiver has the hook. Different formation, one play, many ways. Now let's take this same formation and add some motion. We can go Z orbit, X stick, Y bow, and now the Z, if we have orbit motion, that's going to translate to our flat control route. X still has the blazer, F still has the arrow, Y bow, he's got his basic. Now the H is not the number 3 on the play side, so he would be running the backside hook. So we've looked at 3x1, we've looked at 1x3, 2x2 with and without motion. We'll finish up here looking at stick bow, one play, many ways using motion to go from 3x1 to 2x2. What we're going to do here, we're going to go Z flight. Flight is going to take us to an inside receiver position, and we're going to go X stick, Y bow. X stick, still we have the outside receiver on the blazer, inside receiver on the arrow. Now the number 3 receiver is the H, so he's going to be running in the flat. The Z is in roughly a 5-yard split here. Float for me would take him outside, float, O outside, flight, I inside, receiver alignment. Now he's not going to be inside the tight end, but an inside or slot alignment here should put us about 5 yards away from the tight end. But as the outside receiver on the Y side for the Y bow concept, he's going to run the basic. The Y is the inside receiver, so he is running the hook. Now, one play many ways does not only apply to the passing game. Let's take a look here at the run game, and we can still see some applications. This is a very common alignment we get to trips, to tight end trips with the tight end as number 3. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to run simple outside zone strong. Receivers are going to go 2 for 2 outside. And when I think about one play many ways for the run game specifically, I like to keep things consistent for the offensive line. What I want them to know here is that from tackle to tackle, this is a 3-2 box. We're going to handle the 3 down linemen and the 2 inside linebackers unless I tag something else, which we'll look at here in a moment. Backside here, I would probably just have an alerted hitch, but we are trying to run outside zone, and we're going to control the will here with the boot action. So outside of just formations and motions, I think we can expand one play many ways when it comes to the run game, thinking about for the offensive line, this is how we block this front. And from a 3-4 structure, this is how we're going to handle really any zone play, especially outside zone. Now, not changing much here. Let's say that we want to add a read option element to it. From the pistol, we can jump the running back to sidecar, and then against an odd front, I really like to read the B-gap defender. So this would where that tag would come into play, that we're going to arc the backside tackle and read the B-gap. I've just found it to be a more consistent read and an easier block. That cutoff on the backside 4-eye is very difficult, but if we're not reading it, then I'd rather just get hands on him. If we are reading it, then he's a lot easier to read in my experience. Since the quarterback has the ability to run backside, we would block this corner, but in general, it is still one play, many ways. For the offensive line, outside of this tag on the backside tackle, they are still, especially the front side here, is concerned about the 2 down and the 2 linebackers. The tight end has the man outside of him, and receivers are blocking man on. So here we're in 2x2, double right. And if we're going to keep everything the same for the offensive line, we're going to block the 3 down and the 2 inside. That's still going to leave the Y on the Sam. We're still running strong side outside zone. And from this position, this could still be a really good run, but from the pistol, we're not going to be able to RPO the strong safety on an outside zone play. And if the Z here is extended, that's a really difficult block to ask him to make. We could just live with it, but that's why I really like this trip side outside zone run, because when the F is over here, he, number one, pulls the strong safety out of the box generally, and we have a blocker for him. So if we want to get to that idea still, now we can just run our flight motion again, bring the F across, and expect that the strong safety is going to account for him. If he doesn't, then we can hand it off later on. But the offensive line is still going to block it the same way. Going to get a tackle guard combo, a center guard combo, and then since we're not going to read it from the pistol, we would just get hands on this backside 4i. And now we have that same idea, strong side outside zone to a tight end and a trips surface. So here we're in Crocs again. We've got a 1x3 formation. And if I want to keep everything the same for the offensive line, we are still going to block this outside zone the exact same way. Now we have a tight end here on the backside to be able to handle that outside linebacker. And we can try to get the Z to block that will. But again, that's normally a pretty tough task. I've got it drawn up a little bit off. A lot of times we're going to see this outside linebacker about right there. So about 3 yards deep and apexed. That's going to be a pretty hard block for this number 3 receiver to make. Now you could have the offensive line push out to him, but then now it's not the same. Also going to have trouble with the 4i cutting us off on our way to the backside linebacker and not getting him blocked. Everything getting pushed out. This is probably cutting back to an unblocked defender, not a winning business model. We could do some short motion to bring a receiver in to block him, but generally receivers are not there to block. So another way that we could handle that defender would be to again jump the running back, and this time instead of doing read option, could have an RPO. Going to block 2 for 2 on the perimeter, put number 3 on a bubble, and then as the running back is crossing the quarterback's face, we get eyes on the will. Can he tackle our running back? If he can, then you just pull that ball, keep spinning, and throw that thing out to the flat where the Z is ready with blockers out in front. We should have a hat for a hat and at least get those 4 yards that we need for a successful run play to stay on schedule. One play in many ways is a powerful practice because when the offense only runs a small handful of plays, we can get very proficient at them. And the more ways we have to dress up those plays, the defense can never truly know what's coming. One of the best ideas to develop more ways to present our plays is to combine those ideas that we talked about and use motions to create more formations. And if you want to dive more into that idea, click on the screen to watch this next video.